So we have another demon waifu introduced for Dororo. So I find it interesting that instead of having like a yokai slash demon be a good individual, we now have a yokai demon girl that's actually just straight up evil. Because looking at the interaction at the end of the episode with the Lord and the Moth Girl, it's clear that they're not good people whatsoever. They're the exact opposite of the couple we saw many episodes ago, which means that these two individuals obviously will be taken down in the upcoming episode. The question I have, though, is will the Lord be killed by Hiya? That's the question I have, because remember what was stated a few episodes back, is that he needs to watch out for ending human lives. He needs to be careful of that. And we already know he's done it once. And we don't know if he will ever really go further than that, if he will do it more or not. But it's very obvious that if he takes out the Moth Girl, he's probably going to have to take out the Lord. The question is, will the Lord end up being killed by Hiya, or will the Moth Girl turn against him and end him? Because that's a big question I have. Because looking at the interaction between the two characters, it's obvious that the Lord, he cares about the Moth Girl. But when it comes to the Moth Girl, we don't really know. Is she connected in love with him, or is she just using him to be able to have a feeding ground to survive? That's the big question I have, because that's not really clarified with this episode whatsoever. Now, anyways, I want to talk about one of the big important details of what this episode is trying to set up. And that is that this Lord, he is obviously lying. I mean, we do know that he's the enemy fixing the Moth Girl, but the question is, why is he lying about the orphanage and what the nun was doing? What is really going on there? And my personal speculation is that the reason why the orphanage was burnt down was probably because he wanted a cover-up reason. He wanted a reason for the orphanage to be burnt down and why everyone just suddenly disappeared. And so, when they suddenly disappeared, he actually fed probably all of those, orphans and the nun to the Moth Girl. That's probably what happened. And so he used a cover-up of burning it down for everything is A-okay. And that's what I'm assuming went down. I could be wrong there, but it just makes so much sense that that is the case. However, it would have been smarter if he wouldn't have burnt it down and kept it going around, and, basically he would adopt some of the children every so often through, third-party means, and then he would end them. That would have been probably an easier way for him to have an endless supply of food for his Moth Girl, but that didn't pan out, which is a possibility. What if, hypothetically, he was doing that, but he got caught one day, which is what resulted him burning it down to begin with? That is also a possibility. The question is, why is there ghosts? Why is there, like, a spirit of, like, a deceased child and the spirit of the nun that wanders around? Apparently, the dude is very aware of it. Like, he does mention that the nun is still around, and he does try to pin the blame on her of the horrific things that happened. But what is going on there? I mean, obviously there's spirits that have not been laid to rest, but why is the nun and this one child around? Unless the child, since it looks so deformed and disgusting, what if the child is like, the embodiment of all of the children that was a part of that orphanage? That is a possibility. And why that creature just looks so creepy is because it's all the children in one, and the nun is just the caretaker that's just trying to lead the way to say, hey, this is what's going on. We, need to make sure that this is settled before we can rest in peace. Something like that could be happening. But, okay. Regardless of all that, though, there is some details about Dororo and the tattoo that was on her back. Now, it is pretty much confirmed right at the beginning that the tattoo is a map. Now, this is a very obvious or simple way to handle the tattoo on the back. It is not a mafia slash, Yakuza symbol, but it is a symbol of a map, which, honestly, it reminded me a lot of Prison Break, and also it reminded me of, Golden Kamuy. If you've ever watched Golden Kamuy or Prison Break, the whole map on the back and body, very reminiscent. And I do wonder how Dororo is supposed to remember her mother's tattoo when she is long deceased, because that is a big thing right there, is that Dororo was very young. And being able to remember a tattoo on your mother's back so vividly, I have big doubts about that, because Dororo herself even stated in this episode that she just recently remembered about the tattoo and she never really even knew she had her own. So that means that she probably doesn't remember the exact details of what the tattoo looks like. So I have no idea how she's supposed to remember what her mother's tattoo looked like, because remember, her mother's been long deceased, so she's just probably a skeleton at this point. There's just no way there's any remnants of her old, tattoo on her back. There's just no way. It's possible. There's just no way at all. So, how are they supposed to figure this out? Unless someone else knows. Someone actually did the tattoo. Because we do know that the father mentions that they wanted a tattoo, but did the father actually make the tattoo and put it on her? Or did he have someone else do it? Now, that is a possible option. If someone else put the tattoo on her, all Dororo needs to do is go out of her way and find the tattoo maker, and then she could figure out what was made on her mother's back. That is an option. Now, disregarding all that, another little detail too is that this opens up a path for the characters. We know that one of the main objectives of the story is for Hiya to defeat all the demons, gain back his body, and in turn this will cause great calamity to Daigo's lands. Now, we don't know necessarily if our main character, Hiya, will push forward and want to go after Daigo and his family, or if he'll just stop at gaining his body back and he'll move on with his life. That's really not been said whatsoever. It's implied that Hiya will continue to go after Daigo, but once again, not clarified whatsoever. But thanks to Dororo having a map on her back, it opens the doorway up for another option, a peaceful option, that once, he gains back everything, Dororo and him can be able to hunt down the treasure and live a peaceful life. Potentially create their own land, or, go to an unknown land, do whatever they want. They would be able to live a happy life. And so it makes you wonder, what option are they going to choose? I mean, obviously, I think Dororo, at the end of the day, is probably going to want to choose the option of living in happiness and probably going after the treasure, her family's legacy. Because of how he is as an individual, he will be driven by rage and hatred and go after his father and brother to end them, for he could finally be at peace. And so I feel like he's going to be treading a very difficult line, and Dororo is going to be the only one that's going to be the stopgap to help him out of that madness. So yeah, overall though, the episode is very simple. It's a very simple episode. The content of the episode, there's really not a whole lot that happens. I mean, like I said, it's just mainly focusing on the demon girl, the mystery around the dude, which, by the way, that guy, his facial expression is super freaking creepy. He looks like fish, like a fish-eyed man. It's creepy. I don't know what his name stands for, but I'm willing to bet it has something to do with a fish or a frog, because that man's face looks so freaking weird. The way his eyes are just structured, he looks so bug-eyed, weird, and all that. The way his, eyes are centered on his face. It makes a lot of sense now why a moth girl would fall in love with him, because, he just looks like a freak to begin with. He looks like literally a demon walking. He doesn't actually look human whatsoever. But, yeah. Besides all that, we have the stuff with, Dororo, and that's about it. It's a good episode, just not a whole lot of content happen, and, it's fine every so often, because, we don't need crazy things to happen every single episode. It's mainly just a setup episode for the events to come next week. And by the way, the opening song and ending song, I'm really, becoming a fan of them. I really am growing attached to the opening song for Dororo, part 2, the second half. It isn't as depressing and sad as the first opening was, but I do like the happier tone to it, showing, Hiya gaining back his eyesight at the end. It does allow us to see a light at the end of the tunnel, and there will be some happiness eventually. So I think I am overall satisfied with that. I do like this opening, but it's going to be hard to replace that original opening song of Dororo because of how fantastic it was. But I think I want to leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below, because for some reason, even if you click the subscribe button, you don't always get notified. So if you want to get notified, hit that bell icon. And even if you don't do it for me, at the very least, do it for the YouTubers you do care about, because it does help us out a lot, and it does allow you to be up to date with the content when whoever uploads what. So with that, I love you guys. Be safe. Chibi out.